Ends today. Away. In Minnesota, Carson Wentz was banged up in the win over the Browns and has a sore left shoulder, according to Coach Kevin O'Connell. He left the game and came back into the game. O'Connell also said that J.J. McCarthy, who has a high ankle sprain, will return to practice this week. So let's talk about the Vikings offense. Marcus, how should they approach J.J. McCarthy's return from injury?
Boogie, we talk a lot on this show and we break down a lot of football. I just don't see how you can go away from Carson Wentz with the success that you've had. And I know he had the 2 interception game, but he used his legs in this last game against Cleveland. Cleveland defense is really good. And for this team to be able to pull a win out, I think was significant, especially with Carson Wentz being at QB. We saw the day that Justin Jefferson had as well. And look, I know that they drafted J.J. McCarthy to be the future of this football team. But I also don't believe you can watch and think that you have a better opportunity to win with Carson Wentz and just throw caution to the wind and put J.J. McCarthy back in if he's not ready. Remember, these performances after the Chicago game by J.J. McCarthy were not good. He did not look good. He did not look ready as to be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I think Kevin O'Connell and this staff has much more to think about than just they took J.J. McCarthy in the first round and we reinsert him once he's ready to go based on what they've seen from Carson Wentz.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision, and I'm shocked to say that after 3 or 4 weeks. It's really the what do you want versus what do you want right now? Because you obviously want J.J. McCarthy, if you're in Minnesota, to be the future. But Carson Wentz has played pretty good football, and there's a difference with how they've played. Like, I think the fundamental question, can you play faster than you did? Because that was the big thing for JJ, was he just was playing slow. And just look at like the metrics. Carson Wentz plays significantly faster on early downs. He plays relatively faster on third down. He plays significantly faster in their play action game. In the drop back game under center, 2 seconds faster. And so my thing with JJ in this situation is like, does Minnesota think that those numbers will have been sped up when he's been rehabbing? You know, it's not like they gave him a break for 3 or 4 weeks. He's been rehabbing an ankle injury. Did he speed up his pace of play while rehabbing an ankle injury? That's the question.
I think they have to figure out, can he speed up his pace of play through playing? Or is it something that he's needing, that they feel like he has to work out on his own? And this is a young man who spent an entire year not playing.
I think he has to play. I think he has to play because you're not going to give him enough reps.
And I would do it for 2 reasons. 1, developmentally, it would be helpful. Actually, 3 reasons. 2, you have a coach with absolute job security in Kevin O'Connell. Yep. This is not like, we got to win now. Obviously, this is a contender of a team if they get decent quarterback play, but I don't think there's that pressure on him. And then the third thing is, I think when he returns to play, the situation is going to be better than what we saw in those 2 weeks when he did struggle. I think having Addison back, I was thinking about this watching the Browns, is massive. The Browns, once, he didn't play the first quarter, I think he was benched. Once he was on the field with him and Jefferson, you saw them playing way more cover 2. I think that's going to open up things for the run game. You're getting Donovan Jackson back on the interior. We'll see when Brian O'Neill comes back. Regardless of who's playing quarterback, I think this is a football team that has to run the ball and run the ball better than they did in the early part of the season, and I think that's going to happen. To me, it provides a better infrastructure for J.J. McCarthy once he does return.
It's also, who do they truly believe they can be in December?
Right.
Because they might sit there and say, Carson's played well, and you can make the case that
they're not winning playoff games.
Do they think that they'll be a better team come that December playoff run after JJ's maybe had 3, 4, 5, 6 starts under his belt? Yeah. He's got a little bit more of an understanding of the speed of the NFL pass rush and how much faster he has to play. It is a little bit of a dice roll, though. It's not a clear-cut choice.
And Marcus, the hard part is, like, if you don't play him right now, what are you adding, another year before he plays again? I mean, you just keep adding time to his time off.
No, Dan Amina is correct, but I also think you tell the rest of this team, and this is how I truly feel, y'all, that if J.J. McCarthy is reinserted as the starter, this is a litmus test year. This is not a year where we're going to compete for a championship. And you got to be very careful not to fracture a lot of guys that may believe they have a better chance with Carson Wentz. It's not an easy decision at all. And I wanted to ask you this, Dio, how much of the rehab of Sam Darnold you think plays into the mentality and the thought process with Kevin O'Connell and this staff, this offensive staff?
Yeah, I think that Kevin O'Connell and his offensive staff believe that the parts around the quarterback really are one of the main reasons why quarterbacks play well. And so they think a lot of quarterbacks can go and play well there, and that's probably accurate. And so I think that there's a reality that, okay, Carson Wentz, he's experienced, he knows a lot of the NFL game, NFL defense, and so they think they can win a lot with him. I'm curious to hear Marcus say that if they go with J.J. McCarthy, it's not a championship caliber year. I still absolutely believe he's got to play better and he's got to play faster.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is still a championship caliber football team if he gets better, if he plays better.
I realize it's a small-ish sample size, but the Vikings have averaged more than 9 offensive points per game in Wentz's 3 starts than McCarthy's 2. So 9 more points makes a big difference when it comes to
Addison and Darius are big parts of those 3 starts.
All right. Coming up, the Texans dominated the Ravens, but was it a real statement or just a lucky break? Swagoo says this win could be the spark Houston's been waiting for. He'll explain that next. Stroud and clear. I like that. We'll be right back.
What's up, Vikings Nation? Victor here from Report Vikings, and today we've got a hot topic that's starting to heat up across the NFL, and especially in Minnesota. With the trade deadline just 3 weeks away, it looks like Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah might be getting ready to make some moves again. The man just can't sit still in October. Every single season he's been in charge, he's made a trade before the deadline, so why would 2025 be any different? Let's dive into the 3 Vikings players most likely to be traded and what each move could mean for the team. Alright, let's start with Jalen Nailor, a guy who's been around for a few years and has shown flashes of potential, but just hasn't been able to carve out a consistent role in this offense. Here's the thing, Nailor's on the final year of his rookie contract, and if the front office already knows they're not bringing him back in 2026, it might make sense to move him now and get something back instead of losing him for nothing. The Vikings could probably get a 6th or 7th round pick for him, which might not sound like much, but remember, Kwesi loves stacking those late round picks. He's all about turning small assets into long-term value. Plus, the Vikings have depth at wide receiver. You've got Addison, Jefferson, Thielen, who's back but barely being used, and rookie Ty Felton waiting for his chance. So if Nailor is the odd man out, don't be surprised if he ships somewhere looking for more snaps. This move would be about long-term planning. Nothing flashy, just smart business. Now this one hurts a little because we all wanted Okudah to finally bounce back and prove himself here in Minnesota. But man, it just hasn't happened. Through 5 games, Okudah's giving up a 118.7 passer rating when targeted. That's rough. Every time he steps on the field, opposing quarterbacks go right after him and they're being rewarded for it. He's currently CB3 on the roster, playing around 30% of the snaps. And honestly, Dwight McGlothern, our CB4, has shown flashes that make you wonder if he deserves more reps. So if the Vikings feel comfortable with their corner depth, with McGlothern, rookie Zamaya Vaughn on the practice squad, Fabian Moreau waiting in the wings, and even Stephen Gilmore still a free agent, a trade for a 7th round pick wouldn't be shocking. Okudah's a talented player, but it's just not clicking here. Maybe a change of scenery helps both sides. Now this one's the big one. And yeah, it's not super likely, but it's not impossible either. Look, if J.J. McCarthy comes back from injury and the team either catches fire or completely falls apart, the Vikings might decide it's time to just commit fully to McCarthy and move on from Wentz. And here's the thing, Wentz has done his job. He went 2-1 as a starter while McCarthy was out, completing 69 of 100 passes for 759 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He gave us stability when we desperately needed it. Statistically, he's been better than people realize. 17th in passer rating, 13th in adjusted EPA per play, and 6th in completion percentage over expected. That's impressive for a guy everyone had written off a year ago. So if a team loses their starting QB before the deadline, say an AFC team trying to stay alive in the playoff race, the Vikings could absolutely get something like a 6th round pick for Wentz. Remember, Joe Flacco got traded for a 6th at 40 years old. Wentz is only 32. It's not crazy at all. Personally, I don't think the Vikings will become sellers. At least not yet. They're 3-2, but it's been an ugly 3-2. This team has major issues to clean up. Worst in the NFL in sacks, allowed bottom of the league in third down conversions. Dead last in first downs gained on the ground, most penalties in the league, and 2 of those 3 wins came down to late game comebacks where we were barely hanging on. So maybe Kwesi uses the deadline to shake things up, not tear things down. But if the next few weeks don't go well, we might see 1 or 2 of these guys in a different uniform before November hits. Alright, Vikings Nation, now it's your turn. Which of these players do you think should be traded? And should the Vikings actually sell? Or should Kwesi be aggressive and buy talent to fix this roster now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Report Vikings, and share it with your fellow fans. We've got a huge few weeks ahead of us, and you better believe the purple rumor mill is just getting started. This is Victor from Report Vikings, and as always, Skol baby!